So what on earth could one of the planet's most common birds teach us about building wealth? Well, it turns out we're about to unlock a pretty fundamental secret, one that connects the raw rules of survival to the art of actually succeeding financially.
I mean, just think about it for a second. Crows are everywhere. They make it through brutal winters, they find food when there's none, they thrive right in the middle of our loud, dirty cities, they're up against constant competition, and somehow they always seem to figure it out.
And then, well, then there's us. The market takes a little dip, the economy slows down, and suddenly, boom. Our plans, our savings, our whole sense of security can just completely fall apart. Kind of puts things in perspective, doesn't it?
So what's the deal? What do they know that we don't? How is it that they consistently find a path forward while so many of us end up facing financial disaster? The answer, it turns out, is a secret they've completely mastered.
And here it is. The secret to survival is the secret to making money. The core rules for making it in a tough environment are the exact same rules for building wealth in a tough economy. The real takeaway here? We need to start thinking like a crow.
All right, let's start with two big ideas that really separate the survivors from, well, everyone else. It's all about how they deal with fear and what they choose to build.
You see, crows are unbelievably smart. If someone is a threat, they don't just freak out and fly away. No, they watch that person. They remember their face. They actually study the danger. Wealthy people do the exact same thing with their financial fears. They don't just ignore their dad or pretend the market isn't scary. They take it apart, piece by piece, understand how it works, and then they make a plan. They study the threat.
So I have to ask you, what's that one financial fear that really gets to you? You know the one. Have you actually sat down and looked it in the eye, broken it down to figure out what it's really about? Or are you just kind of hoping it goes away? You got to remember, ambiguity is where poverty lives. Clarity is where wealth is built.
Okay, the second piece here is about action. Scientists have watched crows literally bend twigs and leaves into custom tools to fish bugs out of tight spots. They don't just sit around hoping for a meal to walk by, they create a system to get the meal. And this is a perfect picture of how the wealthy think. They don't just wish for an opportunity. They don't wait around for luck. They actively build the tools that generate those opportunities.
So what do these tools look like in our world? I mean, it's not twigs and leaves, right? For us, a tool is a high-value skill that people will pay for. It's a powerful network of people who trust you. It's a system you build that can make money while you sleep. It's a personal brand that pulls opportunities towards you. These are the tools that pull value out of the economy.
And that leads to another really direct question. What is your number one tool for creating wealth? Is it a skill you've mastered, a system you've built? And be honest. Or is your strategy basically just hope? Just wishing for that lucky break to finally show up?
Okay, let's keep going, because this is where it all starts to connect. A tool is pretty useless if you're all by yourself. The next two secrets are all about how crows and the wealthy use community and change to their advantage. Crows are not lone wolves, not at all. They work in groups, they share information, hey, there's food over here, and they warn each other about danger. They've got each other's backs. They get that survival is a team sport. And guess what? Building wealth is the exact same thing. It is not built in a vacuum. Let's just be super direct about this. Your network is your lifeline to information and opportunity. Period. If you don't have a strong one, you're flying blind, and you're flying alone. You're just not going to hear about the new job, or the investment, or the potential client, because that stuff flows through people.
And next we have adaptation. Crows used to be forest birds, but they shifted almost seamlessly to dominate our cities. The environment changed, so they changed right along with it. They didn't sit around complaining that the trees were gone. This is such a huge lesson. You hear people say, oh, the market is bad. The survivor, the person building wealth, they don't say that. They say, my old way of making money isn't working anymore, I need to adapt. How fragile are you? Just think about this number. 1. If you only have one way of making money, you are standing on a knife's edge. One market shift, one new piece of tech, one bad decision at your company, and your whole world can get turned upside down. This number, 1, represents massive risk. So how many do you have? Seriously, how many different streams of income are flowing your way? The answer to that question is a direct measure of how financially resilient you really are. It's the difference between being a dry twig that snaps in the wind and a tree with deep, strong roots. You know, this leads to a really surprising part of adaptation: play. Sounds weird, right?
but it's absolutely critical. People have seen crows sliding down snowy roofs on pieces of plastic, just for fun. Why would they do that? Because a playful mind is a creative mind. And real wealth doesn't come from just grinding away, stressed out of your mind. It comes from the creative ideas that solve big problems. And constant stress, it just kills that creativity.
So we've talked about fear, tools, networks, and adaptation, but all of these are just branches on a tree. They all point back to one single, powerful, core idea. This is the final secret.
Now, you might think it's all about being the biggest, or the toughest, or the most aggressive, but it's not. A hawk is way stronger than a crow, but crows as a species are far more successful. So the secret isn't just brute force. It's this: adaptive intelligence. This is the master key. This is the engine that drives everything else we've been talking about, from their survival to your potential to build wealth.
So what is it exactly? To put it simply, it's the ability to change. In the game of survival, the winner is the one who adapts to the new reality faster than anyone else. In the game of wealth, the winner is the one who adapts their skills, their tools, and their entire strategy better than anyone else to meet the new demands of the world.
And that leaves us with the one final critical question you have to start asking yourself. The old way of thinking was, how can I work harder? How can I put in more hours? That's an outdated question. The only question that really matters today is this: how quickly can you adapt? Your survival and your wealth hinges completely